Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to your live Investment Dominator Q&A call. And my name is Warren Davis, and we're on here on this beautiful Thursday. It is Thursday, the 8th of April, 2021, here at 12 noon to get your questions answered. And we do have on the line with us, I believe Dominic De Jesus is on with us today, and he'll be looking at some questions that you guys have or that you may send in today for being answered. And we do have a backlog, have quite a backlog of questions that we're going to address first. Hopefully, first of all, that you can see my screen and you can hear my voice. My indicators show that you can at least hear my voice. If you can see my screen, it would be great if somebody just give me a yep, you can see my screen. There's a few of you on today, but I'm showing the Investment Dominator inputs and outputs. All right. Oh, thank you so much, Sheridan. I appreciate that. You can see, obviously, you can hear me. Now we're on the LPG deal flow. You can see those screens. Then we're just going to go make sure you know how to get your questions answered. If you're here with us for the very first time, we want you to use your control box over wherever you may find your control box. Simply type in the word question. What I will request is that you put in like a Q and a colon and then state your question so I can distinguish between questions and comments when we look at as the questions roll up on the screen. So if you put a Q in there, or if you put the word question and then state your question, we'll be able to answer that. Or some people just put a question mark and then they state the question. Again, this helps me distinguish between questions and comments. And as we have them coming in today, if we can get some of the questions answered that are coming in today, we will, Dominique will read those off for us, and then we will try to do our best to answer them right there on the spot. And if not, they will simply go into our other backlog that we'll try to address in the second part of Monday's call that's going to be coming up. By way of announcements, we do want you to know that we have another 2.5-day Investment Dominator workshop that's coming up. Some of you may be, that are on the line right now, may be attending that. That's going to be on April 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Should be a Tuesday, Wednesday, and half day on Thursday. And we're really looking forward to getting with you and being able to further assist you in your business. It's a great 2.5-day workshop, and you'll glean a lot of insight and information. So hopefully you can join us. Okay, we're going to go on and bring up our Investment Dominator screen here so that we can begin to get questions answered. And we have two different ones that we're going to use today. So hope everyone's doing well and hope you're looking forward to having a great weekend coming up here. These days are going by so fast in this quarter. It must be we're having fun. I guess that's what that means, right? So in any case, we had a question on last week from Fiorella, and Fiorella asked, she said, I've created a different website for sales on Wix.com. And she says, how do I connect this to the Investment Dominator? Okay, and that goes back to, so what Fiorella is saying is, instead of using our selling site here, let me make sure, different website. Oh yeah, for sales. And so instead of using our selling site that would come up, looking something like this, instead of using our selling site, Fiorella is using another site that she has created outside of the Investment Dominator. So that's not a problem. It just means that in order for you to see that site, right? In order for you to connect it to Investment Dominator, she has to create what we call a Zapier connection. So if you go up here under Help, search our user guide, and you can just type in Zapier, and it'll bring up a series of articles, how you can connect the Zapier, basically to the Investment Dominator. And one of the best sources of information, because I see it seems to be there's one article that was up here on specifically how you can create a Zapier connection. That seems to have been taken down, but one of the best ways you can also determine that is go up here under help and put in a new support ticket. Put in a support ticket with our technical group. Let them know that you want to, establish a Zapier connection, and give them your account number, which again is this unique number here from your Investment Dominator, and someone will contact you regarding how to set up a Zapier connection. It's important to understand that with Zapier, there has to be a Zapier connection running from within Investment Dominator, but you also, like Wix.com, she said, is I guess the site that is hosting her selling site. There needs to be a Zapier also running on that Wix.com platform as well, so that the Zapier connection on Investment Dominator can then talk to the Zapier connection on the her Wix.com. All right, so both have to have a Zapier connection so they can now talk to each other. But that's all I'll say on that one right now. But contact our technical people; they will definitely help you. And definitely good afternoon to all of you that are saying good afternoon. Rebecca, good afternoon to you. Glad that you're here. All right. Let's see. I have to also write down each question and the time that it came in, so I can make sure I put the timestamps on those for you as we record each of these sessions. This entire session is being recorded. All right. So Sarah had asked a question. Sarah's asking a question. I think this is from just the other day, or could have been from Monday. Why didn't the menu items display on my selling site menu bar in Investment Dominator? So why didn't the menu items display? Okay, on my selling site, on the selling site menu bar in ID, okay, or Investment Dominator. Okay, that's a good question. So I've run into this once or twice before so the websites, if we search our websites and we come up with our selling site. Now you notice on this selling site, the background is black, right? But look over here, notice the text color is white. So what I'm going to okay, what I'm going to explain to you, I've got some okay, I got some comments coming in here trying to kind of throwing me off here a little bit. But in any case, on your selling site, you have this menu bar here, which is colored black, right? That's what it defaults to, black. But you notice the text is in white. So what I have seen before happen is in the management console, let's see, we'll look under customize. And selling, all right, if you scroll down and you look at the menu background color, if the menu background color is white and you see the menu text color is white, so in that particular instance, if both of those are white, I'll show you what happens once we execute that website, that selling site. See, as you can see, the menu background is white, but when you hover over certain fields, right, they then show up. So that's the reason. Anything in white, if your menu background color is white and your text color is white, it's going to basically be invisible in your investment dominator, right? So the issue here, or all that needs to be done, is you come up here under Customize and Website Settings Selling, scroll down, and the whole thing is you want to make your menu background color, you want to make that something other than white. So how do we do that? We left click on this color bar. You can see how this is white, colored white, which means that's our menu color. So all we come over here and do is we set a different color for our menu background. Once I select that, it gives me the color that's going to be here, right? Why don't we make it something that will be a contrast, a nice contrast. All right, so we'll make it like a little orangey there. So you set the menu background color to be a different color, update the site. Now, on this account, when we bring up our selling site, you see everything shows up. Everything in white shows up. So that's one way to make sure. So the bottom line is, the moral of this story is make sure that your colors for your menu are different. Your menu background color has to be a different color than your menu text color. Like if the menu background color was black and then the text color was black, it would just disappear. Like it's the same color. So these two fields should be different colors. And then obviously you'll be able to see it as we can here. All right, hope that makes sense. That's what we have coming in. All right. And like I say, we do have some questions coming in today. We'll do our best to get to them. Get through at least a few of our backlog questions here. And then we'll hopefully be able to get some new questions coming in today. So Jim had asked the other day in the company information, is the offer email actually the buying site email? In the company information is the offer email. So let's look at that. So in our management console under customize is the company email. This question he's asking, looks like, if I'm understanding it right. Oh no, he said is the offer email. This offer email. The buying site. Yes, that would correspond with the buying site in your investment dominator, because remember, this is an offer email address. This is where you want any correspondence regarding your offers to come to. But the question is it connected somehow? I'm thinking, is it connected to the buying site email? And we can look at that. Let's see, look at another account here. Hopefully I've got this question right. Company information. Okay, this has an offer email of lfpcoach12@gmail.com. Okay, that's just an offer email that we have in there. So if we then go look at our buying site and you do a contact us, and if you were to send a message through this email, the question is, is it going to end up in our offer email? And I'm not sure that it does, is my point on that. I'd have to do a quick test to see. So let me see. Well, I have to be able to access that email address. But that's the way you're going to see it, is if you put in your name, email address, you send in a message, say I'm not a robot, and you send the message. The question is that going to end up in my offer email? And I don't think it does through the Investment Dominator, not at this point, not at this level. So it may end up in your company email, the company email address, but I don't think it's going to end up in a specific offer email address. This is just saying in Investment Dominator, this just tells Investment Dominator that any correspondence regarding offers, when you send out your offer, that's the email address that Investment Dominator is going to use, right? So that's why you specify an offer email if you have one that you want to specify. In my company, we don't have anything in offer email. We don't have anything in selling site email. So all of our emails default to the company email. And I'm hoping I'm not confusing anybody, but you'll have to really test it out to make sure that if you do put in an offer email, it goes to your offer email address, whatever one you specify in your company information. All right. That was kind of a tough one to answer right off the bat here. And Darlene had asked a question. Are there any other accounts? First, let me get this other one. Company. Oh. Email. Okay. 20. Okay, Darlene's question here was, are there other accounts or setups besides the websites and phone numbers? Okay, so this is a lot of setup information that to set up in your Investment Dominator. You might be setting up Pat Live. First of all, you have to set up Ring Central if you're going to use Ring Central. Then, if you're going to have Ring Central forwarded to Pat Live, that's Pat Live setup. So it looks like Darlene is saying, are there any other account setups besides the websites, which are your buying and selling site domains, and the phone numbers? Is there anything else that you need to set up? There actually is, Darlene, for, let's say, your company address. If you are going to, since we're saying don't use your home address, you may have to have an account set up at a local UPS store. So that's another place that you need to set up an account. Remember, we said we don't want you to use your company address here. So this may be the address of your local UPS store, which means you need to have an account set up with your local UPS store so that you can receive mail. So that is automatically, that's another setup that's required other than websites and phone numbers. Okay. Any other accounts? So I get that, setting all this up in the beginning gets, it can get to be seemingly a little expensive, just a little, but the good news is once you set it up one time, you won't have to worry about setting it up anymore. Okay. Okay. Account setups. Besides websites and phones. All righty, let's move on here. That was Darlene's question. All right, another general question that we've had coming in from different sources. Okay, this person said I had a seller with 2 land records, one for a vacant parcel, for a vacant land parcel, and the second one for a parcel with a house. And how did the second land record with the house vanish? All right, that's a good question. A seller with 2 land records. Okay, and this has happened before, and I think I explained it in the 2.5-day workshop. One for vacant land, and the other is a parcel with a house on it. Second one has a house. Okay, so I think I know what happened here. Let's see, how did the second one disappear? Okay, if you remember, when we go back to our land deals records here. So if this particular gentleman, Javier Cruz, if he has more than one parcel, and you edit his record, and if I were to add an additional property that he has, what this is going to do is it's going to copy all of Javier's contact information, like his owner information, right? All of this will be copied, but when you come down here to the property information, none of that information, because it's assuming you're going to be doing another parcel with vacant land. But if you designate this, it's a parcel with a house on it. If you change the field to house, all right, it should bring you up this warning that, and you may want to reset the status, or if you say confirm. So if I confirm this, it's going to change this from a land to a house. And then if you go on and you enter, the parcel information and the county that it's in, you enter all this information. My point is once you are finished entering all the information that you have and you say update record, all right, if I say update record here, when I go back into my land deals area, the fact that I specified that second, see, Javier Cruz, he has a land record, but the fact that I specified the second one has a house on it, what probably happened is it moves over here into the blue, under the blue housing area. And I'm not seeing that there. Let's see. If it did. Javier Cruz, okay, he's got a house. Let's see, last name, Cruz. Okay. So I'm not showing there. So I think it moved over into the housing section, probably under prospects. Let's see here. Not seeing it there either. Let's see, prospects. Oh, it probably moved under status mailed letter 1. Let's see, status. Mailed letter 2. Oh, here it is. Okay, so it moved under mailed letter 2 status and Javier Cruz. But that's my point is, you see it's under the blue houses area. When as soon as we designated that record to be a house or have a house on it, then it moved it away from our green land deals into the house area. That's the point I'm trying to make here. So you have to be very careful when how you designate each of your land records. If it's going to be land, you have to leave it as land, right? And then you should be able to pick it up here under the green land deals area. But the moment you specify house, it moves to your house area. Okay. Let's see. I'm seeing quite a few questions come in here today. Okay. Some of these questions, and at the same time, folks, some of these questions, if you have a coach, some of them may be more related to a coaching question as opposed to Investment Dominator. And so if it's a business question and it has something to do with, Investment Dominator functionality, we'll answer that question. But if it's strictly a coaching question where, you probably can use your coach's input, then, we try to answer some of those when we can, but we try to strictly stick this to more Investment Dominator related issues that you might be having. All right. So we'll have to take that question by question here. All right, so Burned was asking how to add the address of the owner. How do you add the owner's address to the land view display? All right. And I'm thinking he's talking about the dashboard of your Investment Dominator. And the dashboard is simply these fields here. You'll see status, owner, state, county, offer amount. This is your dashboard. So I believe the question is, how can I add the address of the owner? Because you see on here, he has an owner, but this information here is the information for the actual parcel, like the state the parcel's in, the county the parcel's in. So do we have information? I don't believe we have information, the owner's address in this list of fields. And all I did to bring up, whatever fields I want to list here, I go over here and I hit this view. This tells me what I want my dashboard, what's going to be displayed on my dashboard. And if you look at all these fields, we have an address field here, but I'm almost positive that is the address of the parcel, not the address of the owner. Only thing we have associated with the owner is you have the owner's ID reference number. But as you can see, there are no other fields that would be the owner's address information. So unfortunately, Bern, there's really no way you can add the owner's address so that it's displayed here on your dashboard. And on top of that, I don't know that we would want to do that, because I've seen some students come into this view and they've selected like a whole bunch of these fields, which you could select all these fields. And then when they save it and they go back and they look, it's so scrunched together that it's really hard to read that many fields. So we try to only display on here the pertinent fields that you need to identify your parcel. That's what we're hoping that you do. So in answer to your question, Bern, there's really no way that I can see to add the owner's address information to your dashboard display here. Sorry about that. All right, so Saeed had an interesting question here. So if we point, let me make sure I get this question right. If we point our domains at Investment Dominator, so I'm thinking he's talking about when you configure your domains, you actually point the www name record, what we call the CNAME record, to the investmentdominator.com server. Does that mean we cannot set up emails on those domains? For an example, if we wanted to set up an email, Warren at sweetlandforyou.com, that would be that's to be an email address you could purchase through your domain provider. And so he says, if we point our domains to Investment Dominator, does that mean we cannot set up emails on those domains? And no, it does not mean that at all. So remember, you have two websites that are free with Investment Dominator. So you have a domain for your buying site, domain for your selling site. Whoever your domain provider is, hopefully it's GoDaddy, but whoever it is, you can purchase an email address through that domain provider. And simply because you point the www name record to investmentdominator.com server does not prevent you from setting up an email address that that you can purchase through that domain provider. The only thing we want to make sure you do is if you purchase, let's say you purchase a company email name. See, this one's info at orbitinvestments.com. That was purchased. That's probably purchased by at the domain provider. We just want to make sure you specify it in your company email. If it's going to be a company email address, is it going to be an offer email address or a selling site email? So the answer to that is no, Saeed. You can still point and purchase a email address through that domain provider. Okay. ID server. Still set up emails. All right, absolutely. Okay. Those domains. All righty. And then Raina asked a question from I think this past Monday's call. Okay. This is more of a beginning setup question, but Raina asked, how much is it to outsource calls to a call center for people selling land? How much to outsource calls to a call center? To a call center for people selling land. All right, that sounds like a question that is really, basically, if we use Pat Live, let's say as an example, Pat Live is a call center. So we can't tell you exactly how much it's going to be, Raina. But if I look at patlive.com, it gives you some prices. I'm looking at the Pat Live site, pricing here. And it goes into, for the various plans they have, whether it's a starter or if it's a standard package, how much it is per month. And it gives you like the standard gives you 200 minutes, package minutes. And then if you go over that, then of course it's going to be extra, on top of this 269. So this is a starter package. That's what we started with when we first got into the business. But we were only sending out 300 letters per week. So this is one we started with, and then we went up to, another plan based on how much we were using. So this gives you some idea, but we can't tell you exactly how much it is to outsource, but this is what it's going to cost you depending on how many minutes you use, which depends on how many letters you send out, so that that's dependent upon how many calls you get from sending out to a county that you've selected. So there's a lot of variables there, a few variables that we can't determine, but this gives you an idea of a ballpark of what it would be. Hopefully that gives you a little assistance there, Raina. All right, and so then let's see. Okay, maybe let's see. I'm just looking at some of the questions here. I don't know, Dominique, if you have a chance to look at any of these questions.
Yep. Can
Uh,
you hear me, Warren?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Uh, I actually have a question here from Alexander that says, how do we go about adding an additional admin to the account?
Oh, okay. How to add an admin. All right. Thanks for being on. And to the account, if you have a specific account, to the ID account. All right. That's a pretty straightforward question, and it's a good question. So you're going to come up here under, you have this under your team. So you have this list of items up here. You go under team, and all you're going to do is add user. All right. So add user, and it defaults actually to an admin status. So all you'll do, leave it at admin. If it's not an admin, you'd make it a rep, but you want to leave it at an admin and put the person's first name, their last name, and their email address. Keeping in mind that the email address cannot be the same as your email address. So let's say if it's a husband and wife team working together, this has to be a separate email address from your email address. So basically every account, every user has to have their own email address. Then you can put the phone number, time zone, and then you'll notice all these permissions here. These are their permissions, what they can do and cannot do. As an admin, it defaults, to yes to all of these because you're assuming as an administrator, you want them to have access to everything. So you set these appropriately, and hopefully you won't have too many questions. If you look over here to the left, it tells you what each of them are. But if they're an admin and they're going to have full access to the system, I would just go on and leave these as yes, unless you don't trust them for some reason. Then just say finish and add user. So once you've done that, they're going to show up under your team, you know, as an admin type and whatever their first and last name is and email address. That's where they show up. So again, it's under team, then add user. Defaults to admin, and you should be good to go there. All right.
That's great. And we have another question here from Berm. It says, "Hi, Warren. On my blind offer letter, it is written manager of, but I am the president and CEO of. Where can I adapt this information?" And
Oh,
again, this
okay.
is for the blind offer letter.
On the blind offer letter, it's showing them as a manager, is what it sounds like. Let's see here. Let me make sure I do this right. Offer request, and we'll select one here, and then generate documents, and we'll look under our blind offers section here. Okay, and let's see what that looks like. So here's your blind offer. Enable editing. Okay. Okay, this says, yeah, this is, I think this is defaulted here, manager of orbits. Um, and if you want that changed, the one way for sure you could change it if you were to actually generate a custom, blind offer or a custom offer letter. So, but let me check one more place before I say that. We haven't had anyone, I haven't had anyone ask that yet. Let's see, under document template settings. Nope. Let's see. It only allows you to change the PS line. If you want to change that verbiage, what I think you'll have to do is go through the steps of creating a custom document. And under help, search our user guide. I would just type in Jack. Okay, and how to create a custom offer template here. So how to customize Jack's offer templates. So it's going to bring you in here, and you can, this is the offer cover letter. That's the first part. There's 2 documents here. And this is how to create the custom offer template. And when you copy and paste this content here, it's going to bring in all the content of that particular offer letter. So you're actually creating a custom offer letter. And let's see, if I go back to my management console under custom documents, custom letter, custom neutral letter, custom offer cover letter. Okay, here's a custom offer, JSON custom offer. Let's see there. So Jason went through the process to create this custom offer, and when he customizes it, yeah, see here's where it says manager of. So at the point that you wanted to change this, you would put CEO of, and it's going to give my company name. So once that's done and we update it, all right. So I've created, so in JSON custom offer, I've put that, I'm a CEO, right? Instead of and if well, let's do a document preview here and see if how it looks. So see, here's where it says now Warren Davis is CEO of Orbit Investments LLC. So it defaults to manager of, but that's the only way I can see to change that so that it actually shows you a CEO. You have to make a custom offer letter. And the way to do that is come up here under Jack's offer templates and scroll down to this. Follow these instructions here, right? And when you paste in this content, that's where you're going to be able to change that text. All right. But what people forget now, once you create a custom anything, any kind of custom letter, if I want to retrieve that and see what that looks like in my land deals area, when I come here, I'm going to land deals and I'm going to go into my offer request because that's where it's going to show up, right? And I select one of these records and I generate documents, whether it's generate documents or any other location. What I'm trying to say is once you generate the document, you have to come and look for your custom letter under the custom document template. Don't look for the changes to show up in offer because they won't show up in offer. It's going to show up under the custom document template. And remember, I made the change to Jason's custom offer, right? So when I download this document, this is where it shows, Warren Davis, CEO of. That's my change, right? You got to make sure you select that under the custom document as opposed to the regular offers here. If you look at my regular offer that gets created, it's going to show manager of, right? Because that's the default for the regular offer. All right, so I just want to make sure you see the difference there. That's going to be that's where people get lost and they realize, oh man, my change didn't work. Well, you're looking at for it in the wrong place. All right. Okay.
Okay, and we have a little bit of a big question here, but I think it's just the steps that are kind of required for it. But it's coming from Rebecca. She's asking if we can open a land record to the edit section and scroll down until you reach the header on the left that says transaction information.
Okay. So first of all, so we're in our land deals areas
Mhm.
and open a record and edit mode, I guess.
Yeah. And then she's
Okay.
saying to scroll down until you reach the header on the left that says transaction information.
Okay. Transaction information. Thing. Okay, transaction information all the way down here. Okay.
Right. And right. So she's saying, can you please talk about these fields and is the purchase date the date you put under contract or the date you close on it?
Oh, purchase on date is going to be the date that you actually put this under contract. Um, as far as I know, let's see. Let's find one. Um, no, actually, that wouldn't be correct. It would be the date that we're closing. So let's see if let's see. I can see a distinction here. I'm in a prospect record. So let's look at a record, one of our offer requests. So this is in pending preliminary research status. I have an offer amount. So let me edit this record, verify that what I'm saying is correct. Okay, that must be, because so when we get this under contract, let me go back here. So let's use this Joel Crouch here. We have an offer amount, and let's say we get this guy under contract. We change the status from pending preliminary research to open escrow detailed research, and we confirm our move. So that's saying now we're going to do our deep dive, right? Status equals open escrow detailed research. Okay, so this is our record here, this Joel Crouch. Let's edit that. Let's see if that changed the date. It should have put, nope, that still did not put that date. So it's not the date that it goes under contract. It's going to have to be the closing date, like the date that we plan to close on this or that we closed on this particular parcel. And I don't even know if it's going to automatically be updated. Um, so it's purchased on this particular date, or the date that we closed on that parcel. So if you have a title company or attorney, um, that would make sense, because then it's also saying the purchased amount. You know, we had it under contract for X amount of dollars. We might have purchased it for, a different amount, um, and then purchased in total closing costs. So that's what this is. And then, so this is the date we purchased it from the seller. Then when did we sell it? The date that we sold it on, to a buyer. That's what this date is here. And then who you sold it to, right? And then how much you paid for it, or how much you sold it for, and any closing costs that you incurred on that, for that closing. So I'm hoping that's clear. This is the date that we purchased it from our seller, how much we bought it for, what was our closing costs, because since we're the buyer, we definitely had closing costs. And then when we get a buyer for this property, we come back and we fill out this information, and when it was sold, and the amount it was sold for, and the closing costs for being sold. Okay.
Sounds good. And we have time for just about one more question, but
I would agree.
yeah, this is going to tie in with the question that you just answered, actually, from Rebecca as well. Um, she's saying the information that you just talked about in the transaction information, does that feed into the reports tab that you find in Investment Dominator? And could you just kind of give like a brief explanation of the reports tab?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do know that this reports tab over here, so that's in your land deals area over here to the right. This is, and Dominic, you might even have some information on this, but this, from what I understood, the last time I talked to Alex and company, this was still being developed. It's still being worked on,
That's
and I don't think everything is finalized in terms of how this is actually going to function, um, once it gets, let's see, buying activity. So selling activity, as you can see, there's nothing there. Property by tag, save searches, interest by property. Nope. So off the top of my head, I don't think the information on your transactions is actually feeding into this right now. It might be feeding into some of these total numbers here. Like this one says, this is the amount you paid for properties, as well as the cost of closing when you purchased those properties. So as you can see, here's a total invested land summary that could be totaling all the information that you put in your transaction area. I have a feeling that may be happening, but in the total revenue generated, this is the amount of revenue that you generated from land. Um, and a lot of folks are interested in this, and quite understandably, because they want to be able to send some of this information to their CPAs each year in calculating their taxes. But until this is finalized, I wouldn't bank on any of that information actually ending up in a way where you can actually send it to your CPA. I mean, we've been doing it for the last 4 years, 4+ years, and I don't rely on any of this information to go to my CPA. So to answer your question, I don't think it's feeding, other than in this total amount that you've invested. That's the only thing that may be getting updated. And sorry, I can't give you more definitive information on that, but that's where we're at right now. Still in
yeah.
work.
And I'm gonna completely agree with you, Warren, about that. One thing that I do want to say, Rebecca, as well as anybody else who may have a feature suggestion, you could always go to your help tab and submit a feature request for the staff, through Investment Dominator. And you might think that you might be the only one who has an issue or has a solution to a problem, but you're really helping out everybody in using this. So don't be afraid to ask and don't be afraid to reach out.
Great. That is fantastic advice, and I concur with that as well. That's how Investment Dominator has gotten to be so great, is because people like yourself, give us those suggestions. And as Dominique said, don't be fearful. Just go on and put your idea out there. It's probably a good one, and somebody else is going to use it. Thanks everybody for the questions, and thank you, Dominique, for being on with us today. I think this was a good session. We're going to end here. Hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I want to leave you with this thought, which is one of my favorite quotes, and it's an anonymous person that quoted this. But don't let the fear of what might happen make nothing happen. I really like that quote. Don't let the fear of what might happen make nothing happen. When it comes to this business, there's a lot of areas where we can get stopped and we can get fearful and we get a little apprehensive. But don't let that fear cause you to be paralyzed where you don't take action and you don't move forward in your land business. This is a great business and you'll be very well rewarded if you just stay consistent. Everybody have a great day and a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back here on Monday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific time to get more of your questions answered. Take care, everybody. Talk to you later.